This is HSC Option 2, Sport and Physical Activity in Australian Society. We're up to the fourth and final key idea, and in this fourth key idea we're also up to the last dot point. Sorry, the second last dot point. Sport is traditionally male domain. We're going to focus on the right-hand side of the syllabus and this question in red. Apply an understanding about the social construction of gender to explore the ways in which sport reinforces or challenges traditional narrow understanding of gender. Wow, that's a pretty wordy question. In answering this quite difficult question, you'd be focusing on these two dash points on the left-hand side in red. Sport and the construction of masculinity and femininity, and the final one down the bottom, the role of the media in constructing meanings around femininity and masculinity in sport. Again, wow. If you're picking up so far, I think this is an incredibly difficult question. I've got the question up the top there in red. I'll just skip forward a few slides. Hang on, let me go back. The first thing you've got to do is break this question down. It's a tough question. So I think there's two parts to the question. The first part is apply an understanding about the social construction of gender. That means what role has society played in building up these roles, what it means to be masculine and feminine. And finally, the question says explore the ways in which sport reinforces or challenges the traditional narrow understanding of gender. Yep, it's a tough question. Okay, first of all, apply an understanding about the social construction of gender. So what does society say it is to be masculine? In one of the previous recordings I talked about it. I think in terms of what it means to be masculine is that you have to show courage, determination and power, and I think sport demonstrates that, particularly in male sport, backs up those three qualities. The opposite of that is, what does society say it is to be feminine? I think we talked about that in the previous recording, saying to be caring, soft and perhaps graceful, and beauty are some of the qualities that are considered important in being feminine, and they contradict many of those qualities that are required to be at the top of your game in sport. I think what often happens in female sport, as is the case of leading tennis players such as Maria Sharapova, she gets caught between the two. So she's an outstanding player. She displays some of these characteristics that's what's considered the stereotypical idea of being masculine, but she's also caught in this idea of also what it means to be the stereotypical idea of being feminine as well. And she's probably caught somewhere between the middle of those two ideas. So here's a bit of a summary on this slide here about what does society say it is to be masculine? Well, to be courageous, powerful and determined. And what does society say it is to be feminine? That's soft, compassionate and caring as three examples for each. So the second part of the question here is explore the ways in which sport reinforces or challenges. I've highlighted that in red because I think sport is challenging this traditional idea of what it means to be masculine and feminine. And because sport is challenging this social construction of gender because it's becoming more acceptable now for women to play previously male-dominated sports. At the recent Olympics, female boxing was introduced, and that actually got outstanding spectator rates as well at the London Olympics, but also, probably more importantly, received high TV ratings on TV as well. So that's showing amongst people out there who watch sport is there is some good acceptance of females playing what were considered once traditionally male-orientated sports. The media in this country as well is certainly highlighting performances of female athletes in this country. Lane Beachley, who has won 7 World Surfing Championships. You don't win 7 world titles by just being graceful, soft, etc. You've got to display some of those what's considered typical male characteristics. You have to be courageous, you have to show a stack of determination, and role models such as Lane Beachley are certainly helping that cause. More and more national competitions are coming into vogue for female sports, such as the Women's Hyundai A-League, which is runs alongside the male competition. It's a long way behind in terms of media profile, the male competition, but they are receiving a higher media profile and therefore more sponsorship. And that is also, with the games being shown on TV, showing the greater athleticism of the female game. That's being a positive influence on narrowing these ideas of what it means to be masculine and feminine also. So that although sport is helping challenge the idea, it also still reinforces these traditional ideas as well. And in many female sports, athletes revert to this idea of sexploitation in a bid to gain more media exposure. So they do these types of cover shoots for magazines. This is one of the better tennis players, female tennis players, Anna Ivanovic, and she's done this in a men's type magazine. And that just reinforces this idea, I guess, these stereotypical ideas of what it means to be male and female. And I don't think at all they help the female cause. The language and images used by media seems to reinforce this idea as well. We talked about this in previous recordings. So the language of being war, aggressive, used in the male games, again, opposed to female sport, where you see this type of language such as beauty and babes. The media reinforces this idea as well just by the amount of coverage that they give to male and female sport. It's a little bit hard to see down the bottom here, but male-dominated sport makes up 78% of the media coverage, where female-only sport makes up just 13% of the coverage. This 9% here is about where men and females participate together, such as sports at the Olympics. To finalise this question off as an overall summary, I would make the argument that it is changing, that the media is having some influence in helping change these stereotypical ideas of what it means to be masculine and feminine, but there's still a long way to go, and the media is reinforcing that idea as well. So although it is improving, I think the gap is still a big one, and the media has to be careful about the role that they play in keeping that gap wide.